There we go. So this is butterfly. This is paramount. Right? Straight on, the whole face is lit except for whatever shadows are created by the light being high. We come around to here. We've got loop lighting. A small portion of the broad side of the face is now in shadow. And then we keep coming around here, and we let that shadow of his nose come in and close so that it creates a triangle under the eye on the fill side of the face. That is what defines Rembrandt lighting. If you would like to go stark raving insane, start looking for this. You will be astonished how often you see this exact lighting setup. It is ubiquitous. It is everywhere. Part of the reason is it's kind of a compromise. It's like we're throwing enough shadow in order to create a sense of depth and some dimension, but we're not throwing so much shadow that we begin to, kind of question the character in some ways, which we do the more shadows that we create, right? Okay, Rembrandt. If we keep going, until one side of his face is completely in shadow and the other side is lit. Again, we've lit the short side and we've let the broad side go into shadow. This is split lighting. All this is in the PowerPoint, by the way. So split, obviously, since it is one half of his face is lit and the other half is not. Okay, I'm kind of going to come right where you guys are. You might want. If we keep going around, I think I can get a little closer and we'll be fine. All right, Ethan, look at yourself. Okay. Now, you also notice that a lot of this has to do with hair. Can you push the hair on your left side back just a little bit so we get a little bit more of your face, just so we can see this a little clearer?
Here, I'll hold it back.
Perfect. If we come around here, and our key light, which by the way is now getting into the shot, is just, in fact, we can go even a little further, is just lighting one small sort of side of his face. Still trying to find the right position. About there. This isn't quite good. This is referred to as rim lighting. Really rather, I think I have to go further. Watch me.
There's some blue.
Now, could I have the smallest flat? Thank you. Okay. There's rim lighting. Just kind of along one side of the face. Probably would work better if it was a little lower because we'd be getting more of Ethan's cheek, but that gives you an idea. We're let most of the face go into shadow. Now, again, in contrast, we decide how bright or how dark that shadow is. All this stuff works in concert. One of the reasons I'm holding this flag is the light is now reflecting down into the barrel of the lens, and as it does that, it creates this kind of flare. Putting a flag here and just casting a shadow over the lens gets rid of that flare. Are we still in focus?
I think so.
Yeah. We just got a lot of softness because there we go. Okay. If we keep going around, the other thing is, let me tilt this a little bit more.
Feels like I just put my glasses back.
Hold your hair back one more time. That might have solved the problem, you think?
I'll like hold my hair back completely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 second.
Yeah, see, there we go. That's a little more of the rim lighting. Okay? If we go around to the opposite side of our subject from the camera, we have backlighting. Now, once again, I can brighten these shadows up. I can darken these shadows to whatever I want, but the key light being from behind. Now, there is one problem here. The light stands in the shot. So we're going to do some backlighting here in a few minutes, and we're going to have to find a way to get the light back there, but the light stands somewhere else. And you're all going to look at that and go, boy, this is really, really awkward and uncomfortable, and I hope nothing falls. Okay. All right. These positions, the loop, the Rembrandt, the split, and the rim, were all, again, on the short side of the face. As we now go around, we're going to start getting the broad side of the face. So Ethan, maybe hold your hair back one more time.
Of course, 1 sec. Oh crap, I picked my glasses with it. Trying to keep my arm as back as I can.
Something really, that's right, the broad side of the face. Okay, I'm so used to doing. There's a little bit of the rim light now on the broad side of the face. All right, let's go to split. And again, see if this feels different than it did when we were on the short side. Here's split. Sorry, let me adjust this. I'm closer now than I was, so that makes the light brighter. There we go. I keep going around. I will watch for that shadow into the sun. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. And right about there, we've got Rembrandt lighting, but now the triangle is under this side of the face, right? Now the argument here is that lighting the broad side of the face basically diminishes the impact of the shadows, and the shadows are the thing that are really communicating mood and feeling. There's nothing wrong with either side, right? So it's just a matter of, does it look different? I mean, obviously in Rembrandt lighting, lighting from the broad side looks totally different than lighting from the short side when we had a triangle under here and could see so much more of that side of the face.
There you go. That's getting rid of the shadow my glasses were getting too.
Yeah.
Because it was really weird.
Keep coming around. We get into loop lighting. Now, what you'll notice is that, again, the impact of the loop lighting isn't quite as strong because we're not seeing as much, but this shadow along that side of his face is what's creating the loop. And if we keep coming, we'll be right back to where we started. With paramount lighting. Now again, our subjects move, so it's very likely that a subject could be talking and could go from Rembrandt to loop to split, back to Rembrandt, back to loop again, just by moving their face along. But it is a good shortcut, right, in terms of communicating to others what it is you're trying to accomplish. And there is also a different feeling from loop lighting to split lighting, right? Makes us feel differently about the subject. Questions? Okay. Now we would have to combine all these things. If we were doing a setup, we'd have to make decisions about intensity, about quality, about contrast, and also about angle and direction, particularly of the key light. All right? So before we get to shape and color, actually, let me think about the best way to do this. Let's hold off on shape. I'm going to switch to color. And in order to do color, we are going to need, what do we have, the 120Ds or the 300D?
I think the 120s. Yeah, 120s.
We're going to need to set up a 120D, and we're going to have to set up the 650. So that's almost an all hands on deck circuit. So we'll need some people over here to set up that big light on a light stand. We'll need some people over there to set up another big light on a light stand. I'll work with everybody over here. I can work with everybody over there. Yeah, yeah. demonstrate these later, but these are the scrims I was talking about, the things that you put in just to block, just to cut down the amount of light. They obviously won't fit the light.
Owen, do you want the 120s on the stick or on the light stand?
Light stand's fine.
Okay.
All right, that looks good. We can work.
Yeah, make it a little.
Are those real hot ones? you like?
Yes, these are still the real hot ones. That one is not, and I'll show you that in just a second.
Yeah.
This is the last time we'll use the hot ones, but I'm making a point about colors.
This will go into.
I'm trying to get it almost.
Let's go ahead and put the light on the light stand. Let's get this on.
Wow, how long?
About how tall, like how high up do you want it? Like the same?
It's going to be about eye level
Okay.
for this exercise. Shouldn't have to do this, but okay.
Yeah, I think they need to try record thing with that.
All right, there we go. We can probably plug in over there. Let's get the light on the stand before we plug it in.
Oh, and isn't this supposed to have the thing that like locks onto the?
Only the 300.
Oh, okay.
Did it come with barn doors or is that?
It does. Do you want the barn doors?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Like, if you plug that in,
So this, that goes into the light and connects into that. This needs to be attached to the light stand. No.
Alright.
I guess it doesn't have to lock on it.
Because I'm guessing they're supposed to be like.
Let's get the overheads on,
Yeah.
whoever's closest. I'll help everybody. There we go. Okay. Why is it hard to
This?
stand up? So what you have to do is move this out of the way first, right? So this comes up and spins, then you can slide it down into the other three, and it's gonna go right this path.
Owen,
Yes.
how does this just hang off something or like how do you?
You can hang it off one of the,
Okay.
one of these. Do me a favor, hold off on hooking it up. Let me show everybody how to do it when we get this one set up.
It's with these.
Just put it onto one of the.
You don't even clip it.
Yeah.
It just kinda hangs
Just
there.
hang on something, yeah.
It just gives you anxiety.
So, it should go in front of the bottom, and then you spin this around and lock it in.
Yeah, you can go.
There we go.
All right, let's just let that sit for a minute. So this is the lights we had last time, right? The ones that are so. I'm an old guy. Trying to stare at people while they stare at their phones is really annoying. Sorry, guys. The ones we had last time, the ones that use a lot of electricity, are very bright and get very hot. This is the LED, light emitting diode, corollary to that.
I love this thing.
If we look at this light, which I should have turned off, this LED is a relatively soft source because it's a whole lot of LEDs spread out into a panel. So we talked about the larger the light source, the softer the light. And since this light is, I don't know, what would that be, about 10 by 7, something like that? Right? It's softer than this light is, which is a much smaller light source, saving. This LED, the source of light in this LED is that circle right there. That means that this generates a hard light in the same way that without any modification, that generates a hard light. Very distinct, the edges of shadows are very distinct. Hard light is very useful because you can take hard light and you can make it soft. You cannot take soft light and make it hard. Okay? So before you put that on, hold on. Hold on, don't get ahead. So, let me take this off. I want to show the cap. When you get these lights, they will come with a cap that's covering that LED and protecting it. Never turn this light on with that cap still on. This light doesn't get very hot, but if you have it closed in like that, it will get hot and it will melt that, and it will also basically damage the LED. So the first thing you always want to do is take this off. Right? Hold on to that for a second. Now, one of the things I like to say is, again, I'm not trying to teach you this light, I'm trying to teach you lights. So, if I want to get power to this light, the first thing I'm going to do is look and see, what do I have to plug in? And I'm going to notice that here on the light, the only input for power is a 5-pin connection. You can't see that from back there, but there are 5 little holes in there, right? I'm going to look in the kit, and I'm going to discover that I've got a cable with 5 pins. I can make an assumption at this point that that probably is supposed to go into there. Now, on this end is not something I can plug into a wall outlet, so it's going to have to go into something else. It's also 5 pins. And I'm going to find a couple of things in this kit. I'm going to find a battery charger, but I'm also going to find this controller. It's doing a lot of things. It's going to control the intensity of the light. It's going to control the amount of power that's going through and regulate the power that's going to the light. On those kinds of lights, we often have things like this called ballasts that do some of the same function. And I'm going to see that up here it says output, and it's 5 pins. Well, I want to get the electricity out of something and into that light. So it makes sense to me to plug the other end of this 5-pin into here. Now, if I look in the back, I may recognize that this is for a battery. You want to try it? Hook it up with a battery?
I don't think there is one in here.
Oh. That's
Yeah,
right. Some of
it's a
these
50-50
lights
chance
don't
they
have
have
batteries in them. This is what I've wanted to spend money on, and nobody agreed. Okay, so I've got to have this, get this somehow plugged in to electricity, right? So I want to look in the kit, and I want to find a cable that has a something I know I can plug into an outlet, right? Something I recognize. And when I look at the other end of this, I see an interesting, odd, unusual connection. And when I start looking for connections here, I see something that says DMX out and DMX in, and that doesn't sound right to me, and I kind of know that's not it, but I see something right in the middle here that looks like it fits this perfectly. So, well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Somebody can do this more.
Oh, that goes there.
Thank you. Yes, it does. It's wider. Okay.
Also,
And-
with all of these outlets, they more than likely have a release button. Do not yank it out. That's how the 300
Never
X got
force
broken.
anything. Never force.
And they usually
anything.
have one way in, one way out.
Yeah. And
Like
if
that
you listen
was
to
just it.
this, you'll also hear
Yeah.
the clip, which means we're very well connected. I know people. Very well connected. Good house of cards. Now, we're going to need to plug that into an outlet somewhere. We also have one up here if we need to.
But there's not right there.
Okay. Now, do you recall, we're going to work on color. Do you recall what I said was more than likely the metal element that's inside here that gets heated up and electrified to create light? Tungsten. Okay. So that light, that kind of light, is in fact referred to as tungsten. Now, This is color temperature. Okay? And I'm going to be writing up here, so you're not, if you can't see it, you probably should move. Okay? Operating on a continuum, different kinds of light generate different colors of light. This gives us a light that's a different color than that, and that gives us a light that's a different color than that. We have to be able to communicate to our camera what color the light is. Because the camera wants to make an adjustment to make this look white. And if it's not white, it has to adjust itself. And here's how we measure this. We measure this in degrees Kelvin. On one side is tungsten. Tungsten comes in somewhere at around 3,200, sometimes 3,400 degrees Kelvin. On this side, light has a tendency to be orange. Daylight, sunlight, comes in somewhere around 6,000 degrees Kelvin. These lights, which by the way, very cleverly, is called a 120D. The D is for daylight. LED lights are almost all daylights unless they're adjustable. That's going to come in at around 5,600 K. That means that these lights are bluish. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Even in your position?
For the most part.
All right. Could you get me the light meter?
Yeah.
All right, I am striking and we can turn the light. Open this up for me then?
You want the overhead lights on?
Yeah. Striking. That was rather anticlimactic. Oh, we didn't blink in.
I was like, why am I not blinded?
That's the first thing you check, Madeline. All right, striking.
Oh, God.
Now, let's take a look. Let's see where we are. This piece of crap. Sorry, didn't mean that.
It was,
Yes, I did. Okay. Can we check the camera and see if it's at 1/60th of a second,
Yeah.
please?
Okay, it is now. And I said it was 800.
I'm trying to change that. There it is. Okay. So again, I'm going to tell this when I can see. I'm going to tell this what ISO I'm shooting at, what shutter speed I'm shooting at, and it's going to tell me what what aperture, what f-stop is going to give me a proper exposure. It's telling me 4. Would you mind putting that on f4?
Yep. There you go.
Okay, and now, if you don't mind, because you're so much better at this, let's get the color.
Yep. Awesome.
No, that was the menu button's the last one at the bottom. And then, maybe I should do this. I just figured this out. Okay, all right. So let's just bring the saturation up to,
Well, I turned it off.
I know, it's really annoying. So you have to go Let's hit it again. Now take it down to color and hit it again. Son of a bitch.
Okay. Okay.
It's like one button does one thing and one
Yeah.
does another, but neither of them are labeled that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's there.
Yay.
Uh,
Let's put it in the middle. That's where it was. All right. Now, I tell the camera what the color of the light is in a couple of different ways. I can tell the camera what the color of the light is by just knowing what it is and going in and setting the color temperature to 3200. Oh, we're not up there. Sorry. I thought it was up there. Let me put that up there.
there you go.
So down in the bottom left-hand corner, I've told it we're at 3200. At this point, that should render Ethan's skin tones pretty accurate. I want to take this down just a little bit. Okay. Now, the other thing we can check hold this like this.
This?
Yep. Actually, in front of you.
And all in front of me.
Yeah, so I can see kind of both sides. Okay, now we can see where the light's hitting, right? And it looks white. Okay? We've done this right. We've figured out what the temperature of the camera light is, and we've told the camera that. What if we told the camera the wrong thing? What if we told the camera that that light is daylight, like this light is? That would mean going in here and changing this to 5600. So I've told the camera the light is bluer. So the camera has tried to add orange to balance out the blue. But since the light is already orange, the white looks orange. Ethan's face looks orange. This is what happens when you don't set the color temperature correctly. Okay? Let's get this light right here, opposite the other light. We can put the we can put the barn doors in the reflector right now. Let's see if we can back it off here just a little bit. Let's move the card. Again, we came from the right trip. We would normally want to tape things like this down, but we're not going to take the time because none of you are standing up. So. All right. We need a sandbag on this light too. So you want it on the back side. So you're going to try to see if you can straddle these two things with it.
Yeah.
So,
That works. I can't. It'd be safer if you did that, because now there's no way you can go that way. Okay. Let's point that at Ethan and fire it up.
Striking.
Oh my God. Okay. Now,
you can see the other side of the room.
you can see that that light's just as bright, if not brighter than this one.
Yeah.
So we do have capability to dim this light. So let's start dimming it.
Okay.
Okay, if you don't mind.
To 75.
Yeah, let's go to 75, see where we are.
75.
That's very close. Go to 70. Okay. So right now, both sides of his face, we got a shadow down the middle. Let's see if we move this just a little bit more. Move that light. Okay, all right. All right.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going a little bit more. Let's see if we can diminish that shadow. That'll work. Okay. Both sides of his face should be evenly lit. Evenly lit. But right now, I'm telling the camera that we're shooting under daylight. I've given it 5,600 degrees Kelvin. That matches this light, which means if Ethan will hold up the paper, this side is looking orange, because this light's orange, but this side is looking pretty white, because we've told the camera, okay, this is the light we want to look white. Okay? Once again, did the camera stop recording? Oh, no, it's still recording. All right. Once again, if I decide to tell the camera that that light should be seen as white, and I take it down to 3,400, now this side is blue and that side is white. Let's look at your face, Ethan. This side of his face is much bluer. That side is more normal skin tone. Now, we can use this creatively if we want. If I want to feel like there's a sense of a colder light coming from somewhere, I can set this back. Notice where it is. I can set this to 3,400 as it is, and we have the sense of that whiter light coming in. We get the contrast between those two colors. If I want the sense there's a warmer light source somewhere, I can change this back up to 5,600, and now I've got this sense of the warmer light coming in on one side and get basically white light on the other, right? Now, some people in some situations will dictate that you don't want to mix sources. You don't want one source to look one color and another source to look another. And right now, we've got two sources. One is orange and one is blue. I cannot make both of them look white. If I go in here and set it to automatic color balance, it's finding kind of a happy medium at 4,200. But one side still is warmer and one side still is cooler, right? Now, also notice, I can tell this camera, and most cameras you can do this, I can tell this in a different way. I can go in and find, we looked at this first day of lab, I can go in and find this light bulb, which means tungsten. It just set it. It doesn't tell me what it set it to. But once again, that side is appearing whiter and this side is appearing more orange. I can set it to daylight. It's making that side appear white and that side appear orange. All right. So, let's do this. Let's say that, let's set this, come on. Where is it? There it is. Let's set this to match that light. That means 3,400 degrees Kelvin. And now that light, hold the paper up again for me real quick, Ethan. That light is now reading as white. This light is now reading as blue. Now, some of these lights, some of these LEDs, in fact, we have one LED that will do that. It will change its, you can change its color. You can dial it in to different, in fact, this one will do that too. I'll show you that in a minute. You can dial it in to different color temperatures. This light, however, is only daylight. So the only way I can change the color of this light is to cover it with a gel. And since I want it to be more like that light, I need to put an orange gel. I started reaching there, there's a little like clothespins for a second.
Let's go for a full, because this is a full.
Now, one of the things that will happen is there will have been a slight bit of dimming of the light. So let me see if we've lost any intensity. Yeah, can we turn it up to back to 75, Kai? And that 75 is just 75%. Take it up to 80. There we go, that's it. All right. Now, if we pick the right gel, both sides are the same color. Right? We've turned that into a tungsten light. Can you hold the paper up for me, Peter?
Yeah.
Pretty much white on both sides. Still a little bluish on that side, but pretty close. Pretty close. Let me see. Maybe that's not quite. Let's see. Pull it up again. That's closer, right? Yeah. Okay, I know this is working good. So yeah, white on both sides. Okay. Let's say I like that light better. So let's say we're going to set our color temperature for that light, which means setting it to daylight or to 5600. Now you'll notice as I do this, everything turns orange. So I'm telling the camera that the light is bluer and it's adding orange to compensate. Let's take the gels off that and let's put a blue gel on this one. Pull would be best.
I actually don't think we have the gloves.
The what?
The gloves to touch that light.
I'm not going to touch it.
Famous last words.
That's what the... Now, it did darken it a bit. So, let's see what we've got now. Okay, let's even these out. Kai, do you mind starting to dial this one down for me? We got a 2.2 at stop over there, so let's bring this down until we hit a 2.2. 3.6, 3.2, 2.8, 2.5, 2.2. Okay. That also means I have to now open up the aperture to f2.2.
How much do those light meters cost?
These are pretty inexpensive. I think these are like, I'm going to guess around 50.
Yeah, I think so.
But they're also kind of pieces of crap, so. Right?
Don't worry.
Now, there's still a little bit of color difference. Can you hold up the paper? Let's see the
Of course
paper.
I can.
Pretty darn close, right? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bluer than I'd want probably, but close, right? So here's the key to this. The real key to this, the first easy key to this is you get home, you look at your video, it's too orange. Guess what? You were shooting under interior desk lamps or whatever, and your camera thought you were shooting under sunlight. You get home and your footage is too blue. You were shooting under sunlight, and your camera thought you were shooting inside. Right? It's an easily fixable solution. You can go automatic on the white balance, right, or the color temperature. Or you can set it to a light bulb or a sun symbol. Or you can know what these numbers mean and you can set it to those numbers. Now, something else you can do from a creative standpoint is I can keep going. Telling the camera the light is bluer and bluer and bluer and bluer and bluer and bluer and bluer,
No, I think it hits cap.
and I can turn everything orange. Because again, the camera thinks the light is really, really blue, and it's trying to correct for that. So it's turning orange. I can also make it bluer. And bluer. And bluer. 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 Until we get down to where it should be correct, which is right around in here. No, it would have been correct at 56. I'm sorry, we got blue light going, right? So I can make it bluer, and bluer, and bluer. So you can use color temperature creatively. You can use it to give your image an overall color. Very, very basic color theory is that blues are cool. Blues suggest a cool temperature. Blues suggest cool emotions. And that orange is warm. Orange suggests a warm temperature. Orange suggests warm emotions. If you've got a room, it's lit by a fireplace, more than likely you're going to want it to look a little more orange. You want to emphasize that warm. All right? You want something to look like it's been shot at night? Maybe you can go extreme like this with these particular colors. And we can mix them. This is something I wanted to show you last time we didn't have one. Oh, we don't have a full one still. Shoot. We gotta have one. We've got the little ones. And by the way, these don't fit any lights in it. These are the 300s. They don't fit any lights in here.
Okay, there was another kit, I can go check.
That's all right. We don't need it. Let me just take some light off.
Those are the
I
cleanest.
now would need gloves. I think there's. I got some gloves in my kit. But which bag? That's the question. Kai, do you mind getting some
Yeah,
gloves?
I'm gonna get some.
Questions? Is this making sense? Okay, there is another way. And to do that, let me put that, where'd I put that gel? Let me put this gel back on. And boy, on this particular camera, is this complicated. There is another way to tell the camera what color temperature we're looking at, which is in fact called white balance. It involves taking a piece of paper, something fairly large and white.
Oh, here. I know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, what you kind of want to do is fill the frame, but if we fill the frame, it will be outside the light. So just
Here, I got you. One second.
all right.
Give me just a minute. I might be able to fill the frame and still have it in the light.
Okay.
That's probably going to be kind of the best I can do.
Okay. Let's see what happens.
I mean, if we just power that electron, but
Sorry, I've gone slightly blind. Where is it?
it might also need to focus, but I can't remember if it needs it or not.
Okay. I don't think cut focus matters, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I cannot remember.
Okay, where is it? Here it is. You have to push these buttons in a certain order, and
It's so dumb.
it really is.
It is the dumbest thing in the world.
Oh, you have to set it on, hold on, I've got to set it on. Yep, getting to where I can't stand up anymore. This is lovely. I got to set this on one of these. And if it's flashing and I push the button, it picked 5,600 degrees Kelvin.
It didn't change.
Well, actually, it did because we were way down into the blue.
I mean,
remember?
fair,
right?
fair.
But it did read these lights exactly as I suspected it would. It read this light at 5,600 and that light with that gel at 5,600. So if you can pretty much fill the frame with a piece of paper that is in the light you are using, there are white balance buttons you can push on almost any camera, on most cameras, that will basically allow the camera to read what's in front of it and do whatever it has to do to turn that thing white.
We also have those little color correction kits.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
X-ray checkers.
Yep, absolutely. We've got those in too. Okay.
Okay, the books.
All right. Thank you. Now I have to remember what I want to do. Why was I doing it?
Something with the scrim.
Yeah, but why was I doing it, I guess is the real question. What did I do with the screen? Oh my God.
The hot ones right there.
At least you'll see what these things do. So I have to open this up a bit. So this was not quite in, wasn't quite in. Nice and comfy and cool. So if I put this in with the scrim part on the top, it's going to take some of the light. I love it when we put tags on things so you can't get the. Is this one too big? Let me see one of the smaller ones. Medium size. Maybe that one's too small. Shouldn't be hot yet. Guess we'll find out.
Little one.
This should be sliding right in here. It's a little bent, and it's been taken apart and put back together. I might have something to do with it, so we'll just do this. And we'll get a little bit.
Oh, it gave me a headache.
See how we're cutting some of the light out?
We're cutting a lot of it.
Yeah. Some of these will take out a stop, some will take out a quarter of a stop. Right, but if I was trying to equal these lights out, I can also do some adjustments on this light. What I don't want to do with this light is plug it into a dimmer. If I plug it into a dimmer, every time I take it down, it gets more orange. And it becomes an unpredictable color, which I kind of don't want. All right. How are we doing?
15.
Okay.
15 minutes.
I don't want to start this yet. Let's talk about shape very quickly. Let's talk about shape. Let's kill this light so it can be cooling off.
Saving.
And I'll do something I never do. I will light the broad side of the face, which I really don't like. But okay. Okay.
Really blind.
Shaping is creating shadows. Shaping is deciding where the light will go and won't go. Your first line of defense are the barn doors. If I don't want so much light on the background, I can bring these barn doors in as long as I don't throw my subject into shadow. Right? I can close this down, take light off over there, so we don't have much bouncing, and I can focus this so it's really just on my subject. But there's only so much I can do, right? There's only so much I can do. I can bring this down, take some off of it that way, and try to bring these in, right? So that's your first sort of line of defense. You got a lot of light bouncing off the ceiling, you can use your barn doors to not see it. Your background's too bright, you can use your barn doors to block part of it out. Bouncing off the floor, you can remove that. In fact, I imagine Are we getting light bouncing off that paper that we then lose when I do this? I think maybe we are getting some light. There we are.
Not really.
I think we were until I did that. So you can see right now a shaping of the light, right? I've decided to light Ethan's face, but let even part of his body go out the shadow. And fortunately, in this weird kind of way, that light reflecting off the board is working really nice as a halo. I kind of like the way this looks, actually. Okay, let's say we need something more distinct than this. And I'm not going to bother to set up C-stands right now, which is how you would mount these. But depending on where I want a shadow to be, I can bring in something like this, and I can take it to about there. I can bring it closer. I can bring it closer to the light. All right, so I can create shadows here. I can create a shadow there. I hate getting that double shadow. I'm not sure why I'm doing that. I can block light from hitting the ceiling or the back wall. All right. So this is another way. One of the things about this is the further I get from the light, the more distinct that edge is going to be, right? It's fairly soft here. As I get further and further away from the light, it becomes a very, very distinct, until I get into the shot, it becomes a very sort of distinct kind of shadow, right? And you can use that. You can use that as a kind of a tilted, sort of gradiated, right? Now the other thing is what's called a cucaloris, or a cookie. Cucaloris is anything that's designed to break up the light and create a pattern. So if I'm looking at the back wall right now and it's very flatly lit, right, and I want to break it up, I can come into, I don't want this to be on, there we go, honey. Right, I can come in here. What happens if I come on this? And I can basically throw some shadows just to kind of break it up. The closer I get, the more weird and distinct those shadows become. Most common cookie for me, and actually let me get my handmade one. Actually, they're all handmade. Is something like this, right? Which can create a shadow both on the back wall and on Ethan. I can try to just keep it a little hard with this position of this light. Right, and the further away I get from the light, the more distinct that pattern will become. It could go this way, now he's in jail. It could be this way, now he's a private detective in his office. Right? You can angle it, you can tilt it. Right? So anything that basically creates shadows is called modifying the light, and is part of what shaping is. Questions? Okay, so what we're going to do next week is we are going to set up, we're going to do a complete lighting setup, which will eventually turn into low-key lighting. It's going to be a sinister kind of thing by the time we get finished with it. And we're going to go through every 6 of these steps, and we're going to apply every one of them to a lighting setup so we see how they can work together in concert. Make sense?
Yep.
All right, let's call it a day.
You want to turn off the light, please?
Yeah. Please, thank you. Yeah, between the podium and the You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got lightheaded for a second because the light
Alright.
came back on.
Ah.
So I was like, I'm just gonna stand here for a second.